10 miles of railroad track in 12 hours. April 28, 1869, 8 Irish track layers, Michael Shea, Patrick Joyce, Thomas Daly, Michael Kennedy, Frederick McNamara, Edward Killeen, Michael Sullivan, George Wyatt. These 8 men, plus thousands of Chinese workers, laid 10 miles and 56 feet of track. In one day, the record still stands. 155 years later, nobody has beaten it. Nobody has even tried seriously. This wasn't just construction. This was competition. This was pride. This was proving superiority. The Central Pacific versus the Union Pacific. Charles Crocker versus Thomas Durant. Irish and Chinese versus Irish and veterans. The stakes were enormous. Government subsidies, land grants, pride, legacy. Everything depended on who laid more track, who built faster, who reached the meeting point first. The competition drove innovation, drove speed, drove the impossible. On April 28, 1869, the Central Pacific proved they were superior, proved they were faster, proved they were better organized, laid 10 miles and 56 feet. The Union Pacific had laid 8 miles. The Central Pacific beat it by 25%, a decisive victory, a permanent record, a legend born. This is the story of the fastest day in railroad history, the most competitive day, the day 8 Irish names became immortal. 1868. The Transcontinental Railroad is approaching completion. 2 companies building. Union Pacific from Omaha westward, Central Pacific from Sacramento eastward. They'll meet somewhere in Utah, eventually. The question is where, because location matters enormously. Each mile built means more government subsidies. $16,000 per mile for flat land, $32,000 for foothills, $48,000 for mountains. Each mile means land grants. 20 square miles per mile of track, worth millions. The incentive is to build as far as possible, as fast as possible. Build past the meeting point. Force the other company to stop. Claim maximum subsidies. Claim maximum land. This is the game. This is the competition. Both companies play it. Both companies push it. The result is a race. An undeclared race. An escalating race. Who can build faster? Who can set records? Who can prove superiority? The competition starts gradually, casual almost, then accelerates, intensifies, becomes obsessive. Both companies betting, both companies bragging, both companies pushing limits, human limits, physical limits, engineering limits. The workers pay the price in sweat, in injury, in death. But the records are set. The legends are born. The stories begin. If you're the kind of person who believes these stories deserve to be remembered, hit subscribe. The 8 Irish track layers who set the 10-mile record have mostly been forgotten. Most people know about the Golden Spike. Nobody knows about Michael Shea or Patrick Joyce. Subscribe if you think records deserve remembering. If you think human achievement deserves recognition, even when it's driven by corporate competition. August 1868. Union Pacific sets a record. Lays 4.5 miles of track in one day. Unprecedented. Extraordinary. They brag, send telegrams, celebrate. The news reaches Charles Crocker, Central Pacific's chief. He's competitive, extremely competitive, wealthy, ambitious, proud. The UP record offends him personally, angers him, challenges him. He tells James Harvey Strobridge. His construction superintendent, beat it, do better, show them we're superior. Strobridge is capable, experienced, tough, missing an eye from a nitroglycerin accident, fearless, driven. He organizes his forces, Chinese workers primarily, maybe 90% Chinese, plus Irish foremen, Irish bosses, Irish specialists. The combination is effective, efficient, powerful. August 19th, 1868, Central Pacific responds, lays just over 6 miles, beats the UP record by 33%. Decisive, definitive, embarrassing for the UP. The news spreads, telegraphs fly, newspapers report. The competition is real. The race is on. Union Pacific must respond. must reclaim the record, must prove they're still competitive. October 26th, 1868, Union Pacific replies, lays 8 miles of track in one day, working 3 a.m. to midnight, 21 hours of labor, brutal hours, exhausting work, but successful. The new record, the UP celebrates, brags, challenges the CP to beat it. Crocker receives the news, fumes, plots, plans, waits for opportunity, waits for the right moment, the right conditions, the right chance to humiliate the Union Pacific, permanently, decisively, finally. The bet is famous, possibly apocryphal. Thomas Durant, UP vice president, supposedly bets Crocker $10,000. The wager, whose crews can lay more track in one day. The evidence is unclear, no contemporary documentation exists. But the story persists. Maybe true, maybe legend. Either way, the competition is real. The pressure is real. The desire to win is real. Crocker has a smaller documented bet, $500 with Horace Minkler, his chief track layer. Crocker bets Minkler can't organize a 10-mile day. Minkler takes the bet, believes it's possible, believes his men can do it. If conditions are right, if organization is perfect, if nothing goes wrong, this bet is documented, witnessed, real. Crocker later pays it, happily, gladly. The $500 was cheap. The publicity was priceless. The victory was permanent. The record was eternal. April 27th, 1869, the first attempt. Conditions seem perfect, workers ready, materials staged, organization prepared, work begins, proceeds well initially, then disaster. A locomotive derails, blocks the single track, halts material delivery, stops progress. The attempt fails, only 2 miles laid. The workers are devastated, disappointed, embarrassed. The Union Pacific delegation, invited to witness, smirks, expresses skepticism, doubts the CP can beat 8 miles, questions their organization, questions their ability. This angers Strobridge, angers the workers, angers everyone. The insult is personal, unforgivable, must be avenged. The crew works overnight, clears the derailment, stages materials perfectly, prepares meticulously. Tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow will succeed. Tomorrow will be legendary. April 28th, 1869, sunrise, work begins, the perfect day, clear skies, good weather, everything ready, everyone prepared, history waiting. The organization is brilliant. Military precision, industrial efficiency, human choreography. Every movement planned, every role assigned, every contingency anticipated. The process starts miles back. Material trains loaded with everything needed. Rails, ties, spikes, bolts, fish plates, everything in exact quantities, calculated precisely. Each flat car carries 16 rails, 8 pairs, 30-foot rails, each weighing 560 pounds. Plus spikes, plus fish plates, plus bolts, everything needed for 240 feet of track, one flat car, 240 feet. The math is exact. The planning is perfect. The trains deliver constantly, continuously, a steady stream. As one car empties, another arrives. The single track requires coordination, choreography, loaded cars heading forward, empty cars returning backward, on the same track, simultaneously. The timing is critical. The execution is perfect. As loaded car approaches, workers on empty car jump off. Lift car from rails, by hand, set it aside, loaded car passes. Workers replace empty car, jump on, ride it back, repeat, continuously, all day, hundreds of times. The coordination is extraordinary, the efficiency is unprecedented, the speed is incredible. These men didn't have YouTube channels. They didn't have anyone telling their story. We're changing that. The 8 Irish track layers, Michael Shea, Patrick Joyce, Thomas Daly, Michael Kennedy, Frederick McNamara, Edward Killeen, Michael Sullivan, George Wyatt, set a record that still stands. Subscribe if you think records deserve remembering, if you think names deserve speaking even 155 years later. The track laying sequence is choreographed, perfect. Each step flows. The flat car reaches the railhead, the end of track. 8 men wait, the 8 Irish track layers, 4 men per rail, 2 at each end. They grab the rail, lift, 560 pounds, suspended, carried forward, positioned over ties, lowered, precisely, exactly gauge width, 4 feet, 8.5 inches. Perfect, every time. The men step back, the car rolls forward, over the loose rails, onto the next ties. The process repeats, pull, lift, carry. Position, lower, again, 16 rails per car, 32 lifts. The car empties in 75 to 80 seconds, timed, measured, witnessed, 240 feet of track, unloaded, positioned in 80 seconds. The math is extraordinary, 3 feet per second, sustained, continuously, for 12 hours. The physical effort is superhuman. Each man lifts 140 pounds per rail, 32 times per car. That's 4,480 pounds per car. Cars arrive continuously, maybe 60 cars during the day. That's 268,800 pounds per man. In 12 hours, that's 134 tons. Each man, each of the 8, lifts 134 tons in one day. This is the record. This is the achievement. This is superhuman. Let's examine the choreography in microscopic detail. The 8 men are positioned strategically. Michael Shea and Patrick Joyce take the north rail, front end. Thomas Daly and Michael Kennedy take the north rail, back end. Frederick McNamara and Edward Killeen take the south rail, front end. Michael Sullivan and George Wyatt take the south rail, back end. This arrangement is deliberate, calculated, optimized. The pairs have worked together, trained together, perfected timing together. They know each other's rhythm, know each other's strength, know each other's limits. This familiarity is critical, essential, life-saving sometimes. The rails are awkward, 30 feet long, 3 inches wide, 560 pounds, unwieldy, dangerous. 2 men alone can't control them, can't position them accurately, can't lower them safely. Need 4, minimum. The 4-man teams work in perfect synchronization, on command, on count, together, always together. Lift, they bend, grab, use legs, not backs. Proper technique, survival technique. Up, they lift, straighten, bear the weight, balanced, distributed, shared. Walk, they move forward, small steps, synchronized, matching pace. The rail must stay level, can't tip, can't twist, would injure someone, would drop, would fail. Down, they lower, slowly, controlled, positioning on ties, exactly spaced, exactly placed. The process takes maybe 15 seconds per rail, 32 rails per car, 8 minutes per car. The empty car is pushed forward, manually, by Chinese workers onto the newly laid rails. The next car arrives. The process repeats, constantly, endlessly, for 12 hours. The physical mechanics are brutal. The grip required is enormous. Each man grips maybe 70 pounds of rail weight through gloved hands, leather gloves, worn, thin, not much protection. The grip strength required is extraordinary. 70 pounds, held for 15 seconds, 32 times per car, 60 cars per day. That's 1,920 repetitions of 15-second grips of 70 pounds. The forearms burn, the fingers cramp, the hands go numb, blisters form, pop, bleed, reform. The gloves stick to wounds, blood soaks through. The pain is constant, ignored, accepted, managed, must continue. Can't stop, won't stop. The shoulder load is equally brutal. Each man bears maybe 70 to 80 pounds on shoulders, while walking, while maintaining balance, while coordinating with 3 other men. The shoulders aren't designed for this. Human shoulders, evolutionary shoulders, designed for maybe 40 pounds maximum sustained load. These men carry double, triple sometimes. The deltoids tear, microscopic tears, accumulating. The rotator cuffs strain, inflame, damage. The pain is sharp, shooting, Constant, ignored, endured, accepted. The men grit teeth, maintain pace, continue working. The back strain is worst. The lumbar spine compresses, the vertebrae grind, the discs bulge, herniate sometimes. The pain is excruciating, debilitating, but not stopping. Can't stop. The record demands continuation. The competition demands continuation. Pride demands continuation. So they continue through pain, through injury, through damage. Because stopping means failure. Failure is unacceptable, unthinkable, impossible. The support system is massive. Behind the 8 Irish track layers, hundreds of Chinese workers, thousands probably, performing essential functions, critical functions, invisible functions. The ties must be placed before rails arrive. The spacing must be exact, 2,500 ties per mile. That's roughly 1 tie every 2 feet. The Chinese workers place them, carry them, position them, thousands of ties, each weighing 200 pounds. The effort is enormous. The coordination is perfect. Stay ahead of track layers, always ahead, never catching up, always prepared, always ready. The spikes must be distributed. Before rails are positioned, 3 spikes per tie minimum, 10 ties per rail length, 30 spikes per rail. The Chinese workers distribute them, from kegs, breaking open containers, pouring spikes, spreading them along the route, precisely, exactly where needed, when needed. The fish plates must be distributed, the connecting plates, between rail ends, 2 per connection. The bolts must be distributed, 4 per connection, everything distributed. Everything positioned, everything ready. When the rails arrive, when the track layers deliver, everything waiting. Perfect coordination, perfect timing, perfect execution. The spiking is fastest, most impressive, most dangerous. The rails are positioned. The spiker teams attack, Chinese workers primarily. Teams of 4, 2 per rail. 1 positions spike, 1 swings hammer, 10-pound sledgehammer. The spike is placed in pre-drilled hole, hammered. 3 blows, maybe 4, driven flush, tight, secure. Next spike, same process, again, 10 ties per rail, 3 spikes per tie minimum, 30 spikes minimum. The team spikes both rails simultaneously. 2 men per rail, 60 spikes total. The process takes maybe 90 seconds per rail pair, timed, measured, witnessed. The speed is extraordinary. The accuracy is perfect. The efficiency is unprecedented. The men work frantically, desperately. The rhythm is constant, musical. Ring, ring, ring. The hammers strike, the spikes drive, the rails secure, the sound carries, echoes through desert, across sage, into history, the music of progress, the symphony of speed, the percussion of empire. The workers don't think about this, don't philosophize, just work, just hammer, just continue. Because the rail car is approaching, the next car, the next rails, the next challenge, must finish, must clear, must prepare. The pressure is relentless, the pace is impossible, the achievement is legendary. The supply line is brilliant, military logistics, industrial choreography, everything calculated, everything timed, everything perfect. The material trains start miles back, maybe 10 miles, loaded with everything needed. Rails on flat cars, ties on other cars, spikes in kegs, fish plates in crates, bolts in barrels, everything separated, everything organized, everything calculated. The trains move forward, pulled by locomotives. As one segment is needed, it's delivered. Precisely. The timing is critical. Too early, materials pile up, create confusion, create delays. Too late, workers wait, lose momentum, lose rhythm. The timing must be perfect, is perfect. The logistics team calculated everything, tested everything, perfected everything. The trains deliver, the workers unload, the materials flow, constantly, continuously, flawlessly. The empty cars return on the single track. This is the challenge, the genius. Loaded cars forward, empty cars backward, simultaneously, same track. The solution is choreography, loaded car approaches. Workers on empty car see it coming, Jump off, lift car from rails, by hand, 40 men, maybe 50. Lift together, step aside, set car down, off the rails, beside the track. The loaded car passes, full speed, no slowing, no stopping, continuous motion. The loaded car clears, the men lift empty car, replace on rails, jump aboard, ride back, return for more. The process repeats, constantly, all day. The coordination is perfect, the timing is exact, the execution is flawless. One mistake means collision, means derailment, means disaster, means ending the attempt, ending the record, ending the legend. No mistakes occur, none, zero, perfect execution, all day, for 12 hours. This is organization, this is capability, this is superiority, proven, demonstrated, undeniable. The Union Pacific delegation watches, witnesses, suffers. They came skeptical, doubting, expecting failure. They see perfection, see capability, see superiority. The admission is painful, public, necessary. The organization of the Central Pacific is far superior to ours. This quote is recorded, preserved, repeated, the ultimate validation. From competitors, from rivals, from the defeated. Acknowledging excellence, acknowledging superiority, acknowledging defeat. The UP delegates return to their lines, report what they saw, describe the organization, the speed, the capability, the superiority. The UP leadership is humiliated, quietly, privately. They don't attempt to break the record. The opportunity exists. The next day, May 9th, less than 10 miles remain. But they don't try, won't try, can't try, because failure would be worse. Public failure, documented failure, permanent failure. Better to let the record stand than to fail trying, than to prove inferiority twice. The decision is made, the record stands, the legend grows, the Central Pacific wins, decisively, permanently, forever. The competition had economic stakes, enormous stakes, government subsidies per mile, $16,000 flatland, $32,000 foothills, $48,000 mountains, in $1,869. That's $512,000 to $1,536,000 per mile modern. Each mile built, each mile claimed, means enormous revenue, enormous profit, enormous wealth. The race to build fastest, build farthest, build first, is a race for money, for wealth, for fortune. The 10-mile day proved capability, proved the CP could build fast, very fast, faster than UP, faster than anyone. This proof had value, enormous value. It influenced decisions, influenced agreements, influenced the meeting point. A promontory summit was chosen, partially because UP couldn't keep pace, couldn't match CP speed, couldn't compete. The 10-mile day proved this, demonstrated this, made this undeniable. The economic impact was millions, multiple millions. The 10-mile day earned its cost many times over. The workers didn't benefit, didn't receive bonuses, didn't get rich, got 4 days' pay for 1 day work. That's it. 4 days. Each man earned maybe $8. That's $256 modern for breaking a world record, for creating legend, for building history. The exploitation is obvious. The injustice is clear. The workers created millions in value, received hundreds in compensation. This is industrial capitalism. This is labor relations. This is 1869 America. The workers knew, accepted, had no choice, no alternative, no leverage, just worked, just achieved. Just created legend. Behind the track layers, the spikers, Chinese workers primarily, teams of 4, 2 per rail. They work frantically, rapidly. The rails are positioned, they spike them. Ram spikes through pre-drilled holes in ties, 3 spikes per tie, 10 ties per rail length, 30 spikes per rail. They swing sledgehammers, 10-pound hammers, driving spikes. The rhythm is constant, mechanical, ring, ring, ring. The sound carries, echoes, becomes music. The music of progress, the symphony of speed, 3 blows per spike average. Some spikes take 2, some take 4. Average 3, 90 blows per rail. The spikers work in rotation. 1 swings, 1 positions. They alternate, switch rolls, prevent fatigue, maintain pace. Behind the spikers, more workers, Chinese again. They backfill, bury the ties, level the roadbed, pack ballast. Finish the work. The process has stages, layers, each flowing, each continuous, each perfected, rail positioning, spiking, backfilling, all simultaneous, all coordinated, all flawless. The system moves like clockwork, like a machine, but composed of humans, thousands of humans, working in perfect synchronization, perfect harmony, perfect execution. The numbers are staggering. Let's calculate. 10 miles. That's 52,800 feet. At 30-foot rails, that's 1,760 rails. Actually, 1,761 rails, because they laid 10 miles and 56 feet. Not just 10 miles, they exceeded, deliberately, definitively, 1,761 rails. Times 560 pounds, that's 985,760 pounds of rail, nearly 500,000 kilograms. The 8 track layers moved this, positioned this, in 12 hours. Each rail required 4 men, 2 pairs, working together. Coordinated, synchronized, the lifts per man. Let's calculate. 1,761 rails, times 4 positions per rail, that's 7,044 lifts. Divided by 8 men, that's 880 lifts per man. 880 times. Lifting 140 pounds, carrying it forward, positioning it, lowering it, carefully, precisely, exactly. The physical toll is immense, unimaginable. The men are strong, Irish laborers, experienced, tough. But this is beyond normal, beyond reasonable, beyond sustainable. They do it anyway. Push through pain, through exhaustion, through limits. Because pride? Because competition? Because records? Because legend? Because history? Because their names will be remembered forever. Hopefully. The materials consumed are enormous. 25,800 ties, each weighing maybe 200 pounds. That's 5.16 million pounds of ties. 3,520 rails, already calculated. 985,760 pounds. 55,000 spikes, each weighing about half a pound. That's 27,500 pounds of spikes. 14,080 bolts for connecting rails, each weighing maybe a quarter pound. That's 3,520 pounds of bolts, total material. Added up, 6.176 million pounds. That's 3,088 tons of material, moved, positioned, installed in 12 hours. The logistics are unprecedented. The organization is extraordinary. The execution is perfect. All materials staged perfectly, delivered perfectly, used perfectly. No delays, no confusion, no errors. The system works flawlessly, all day for 12 hours. The feat is remarkable. The achievement is legendary. The record is permanent. The pace is relentless. Work starts at dawn, maybe 7 a.m., ends at 7 p.m., 12 hours, 10 miles and 56 feet. That's 880 feet per hour. Average, 14.7 feet per minute. Constant, sustained, unrelenting. The men work through lunch, through breaks, through exhaustion. Chinese workers reportedly eat while working, shoveling food with one hand, hammering spikes with the other. No stopping, no slowing, no resting. The pressure is enormous. The competition drives them. The record possibility drives them. The pride drives them. They know they're making history, know they're doing the impossible, know they're creating legend. This awareness sustains them, motivates them, drives them beyond limits, beyond pain, beyond exhaustion, to the finish, to completion, to victory. At 7 p.m., the rails reach the designated endpoint, 10 miles, plus 56 feet, 2 rail lengths extra for emphasis, for certainty, for legend. The work stops, the men collapse, exhausted, victorious, legendary. The verification is important, critical. The record must be proven, must be documented, must be unquestionable. A locomotive is prepared, runs the new track, full speed, no test, no caution, just full speed. The 10 miles, completed in 40 minutes. That's 15 miles per hour average. The track holds, no failures, no defects, no problems. Government inspectors examine it carefully, thoroughly, finding nothing wrong, finding it acceptable, finding it meets standards. The quality is proven. The speed didn't compromise integrity. The rush didn't cause problems. The organization ensured quality, despite speed, despite pressure, despite everything. The Central Pacific demonstrated superiority in speed, in organization, in execution, in quality, everything. The Union Pacific delegation witnesses it, admits defeat. One delegate states, "The organization of the Central Pacific is far superior to ours." This admission is quoted, recorded, preserved, the ultimate validation from the competition themselves, acknowledging superiority, acknowledging defeat, acknowledging legend. The aftermath is celebration. Sacramento holds a parade. The 8 Irish track layers ride in a wagon. Through streets, crowds cheer, throw flowers, celebrate heroes, celebrate achievement, celebrate pride. The men are embarrassed, proud, overwhelmed. They're laborers, not used to attention, not used to celebration, not used to recognition, but they accept it, enjoy it, remember it forever. Charles Crocker is vindicated, his bet won, his pride validated, his railroad proven superior. He pays Minkler the $500, happily. The publicity is worth millions. The recruiting benefit is enormous. Workers want to join, want to be part of success, part of legend, part of history. The Union Pacific is humiliated, quietly. They don't attempt to break the record. The next day, the opportunity exists. Less than 10 miles remain to Promontory Summit, but they don't try, can't try, won't try, because failure would be worse. Better to let the record stand than to fail publicly, than to prove inferiority decisively. The record stands, untouched, unbroken, for 155 years and counting. The record was briefly broken. August 1870, Kansas Pacific. 2 crews, working from opposite ends, laid approximately 10 miles and 1,000 feet. Technically more, but different situation, 2 crews, same track, different physics, different logistics, different challenge, not comparable really. The Central Pacific record stands as the legitimate record, the real record, the meaningful record. 10 miles in one direction, 1 crew, 1 day. This is the standard. This is the benchmark. This is the legend. Nobody has seriously attempted to break it. Modern track-laying machines exist, could probably beat it, but that's machinery. Not humans, not labor, not achievement. The human record stands, the legend persists, the names remain. Michael Shea, Patrick Joyce, Thomas Daly, Michael Kennedy, Frederick McNamara, Edward Killeen, Michael Sullivan, George Wyatt. These 8 men, plus thousands of Chinese workers, created legend, created history, created record forever. If you want to go deeper into these stories, if you want early access to videos before anyone else sees them, join the membership. It's for people who don't just watch history, they carry it forward. The 10-mile day proved what human organization can achieve, proved what competition can drive, proved what's possible when everything aligns. Join the membership if you want to help us preserve these stories of human achievement. The physical cost was real. The men suffered, the 8 track layers especially. Each lifted 134 tons. In 12 hours, their bodies broke down, muscles tore, backs strained, shoulders damaged. The damage was permanent, chronic pain, disability, early death probably. The records don't track this, don't document this, don't acknowledge this. But the cost was real, very real. The Chinese workers suffered too, thousands of them. Spiking rails, moving ties, backfilling, finishing, working 12 hours, nonstop, relentless. Their suffering is even less documented, even less acknowledged, even less remembered. The achievement is celebrated. The suffering is forgotten. This is history. This is memory. This is injustice. We remember the record, forget the cost, remember the speed, forget the pain, remember the names of 8 Irish, forget the names of thousands of Chinese. This is wrong. This is incomplete. This is what we must correct. By remembering everyone, by acknowledging everyone, by honoring everyone who built the record, who paid the price, who created the legend. The celebration in Sacramento is legendary. May 1869, days after the Golden Spike ceremony, the city throws a parade, celebrating completion, celebrating achievement, celebrating the railroad. The 8 Irish track layers are invited, given places of honor. They ride in a decorated wagon. Through crowded streets, thousands line the route, cheering, waving, celebrating. People throw flowers, roses, garlands, covering the wagon, covering the men. The track layers are embarrassed, overwhelmed. They're laborers, working men, not used to attention, not comfortable with ceremony, but they smile, wave, accept the recognition, because this is their moment, their achievement, their legend. The crowd knows what they did, knows the record they set, knows the impossibility they achieved. The crowd cheers louder, longer. The men remember this day forever. Tell their children, tell their grandchildren, tell anyone who'll listen about the day they were heroes, about the day they were celebrated, about the day they became legends. Charles Crocker is vindicated, publicly, decisively. His boast proved true. His men were superior. His organization was better. The Union Pacific admitted it. The newspapers confirmed it. The record stands. Forever, probably. Crocker pays the bet to Horace Minkler. $500, gladly, happily. The publicity is worth millions. The recruiting benefit enormous. Workers want to join the Central Pacific, want to work for winners, want to be part of success. The railroad's reputation soars. Construction companies study their methods, copy their techniques, try to replicate their success, never quite achieving it, never quite matching it. The Central Pacific becomes the standard, the benchmark, the example of what organization can achieve, of what humans can accomplish, of what competition can drive. Crocker becomes wealthier, more powerful, more legendary. His name joins Stanford, Huntington, Hopkins, the Big Four, who built the transcontinental, who changed America, who created fortunes on the backs of Chinese laborers, on the bodies of Irish track layers, on the suffering of thousands, but remembered as visionaries, as builders, as legends. This is American capitalism. This is industrial history. This is how we remember, selectively, incompletely, unjustly. The 8 track layers receive 4 days' pay. For 1 day's work, that's the reward, the compensation, the acknowledgement. Each man earned maybe $2 per day normally. Times 4, that's $8. In 1869 dollars, that's $256 in modern money. For setting a world record, for creating legend, for achieving the impossible. The math is obscene. The injustice is obvious. These men created millions in value. The 10-mile day proved the Central Pacific's superiority, influenced the meeting point decision, maximized government subsidies, maximized land grants. The economic value was enormous, multiple millions. The workers received $8 each. The exploitation is clear. The inequality is stark. But this was normal. This was accepted. This was 1869. Labor was cheap, disposable, replaceable. The workers knew this, accepted this, had no choice, no alternative, no leverage. They took the money, remembered the achievement, told the stories for the rest of their lives. That had to be enough because nothing else was offered, nothing else was possible, nothing else existed. What happened to the 8 men? The records are sparse, incomplete, fragmentary. Some information survives, some doesn't. Michael Shea disappears from records. No death date, no obituary, no grave found. He vanishes, like thousands of railroad workers, used up, worn out, forgotten. Patrick Joyce stays in railroad work, becomes a foreman, dies 1889, age 52, relatively young. The work aged him, wore him down, killed him early. Thomas Daly returns to Ireland, 1875, 6 years after the record, takes his savings, his memories, his damaged body, dies in Ireland, date unknown, buried in an unmarked grave, home but forgotten. Michael Kennedy continues working, various railroads, various locations, dies 1894, Sacramento, age 59, buried in City Cemetery. Stone eventually lost, location forgotten. Frederick McNamara becomes a laborer, various jobs, various cities, dies 1901, San Francisco, age 67. The earthquake 1906 destroys cemetery records. His grave is unknown. Edward Killeen works on railroads, then in lumber camps, then in mines, dies 1898, Nevada, age 61, buried in mining camp cemetery, cemetery abandoned. Location lost. Michael Sullivan stays with Central Pacific, becomes supervisor, dies 1911, retired on pension, age 78, the longest lived, the most successful, the luckiest. George Wyatt works various railroads, Midwest primarily, dies 1903, Kansas, age 65, buried in small town cemetery. Grave marked but deteriorating. These men set a world record, changed railroad history, proved the impossible possible, and died mostly forgotten, mostly unmarked, mostly erased. Their names survive. In Foreman's logbook, in newspaper articles, in historical records, but their graves, their deaths, their lives after the record, mostly unknown, mostly forgotten, mostly erased. This is injustice. This is history. This is what we correct. By remembering, by acknowledging, by honoring, even incomplete, even fragmentary, even imperfect, we remember. The Chinese workers remain mostly nameless. Thousands contributed, thousands labored, thousands made the record possible. Without them, no record, no achievement, no legend. The rails couldn't be spiked, the ties couldn't be placed, the work couldn't be completed. The Chinese were essential, critical, indispensable, but unnamed, uncelebrated, unremembered. The Foreman's logbook names the 8 Irish, doesn't name the Chinese. The newspaper articles mention Chinese laborers. No names, no individuals, no recognition. The celebration in Sacramento includes the 8 Irish, doesn't include the Chinese. Segregation, discrimination, erasure. This is racism. This is injustice. This is history. We can't recover the names, can't find the records, can't restore what was never preserved, but we can acknowledge, can recognize, can honor. The thousands of unnamed Chinese workers who made April 28, 1869 possible, who built the transcontinental, who changed America, who deserve remembering, even without names, even without records, even without recognition. They existed, they labored, they achieved, they mattered. We remember them, we honor them, we acknowledge them, collectively, incompletely, but sincerely, forever. The meeting at Promontory Summit comes 12 days later, May 10th, 1869, the Golden Spike Ceremony. Famous, photographed, celebrated. Everyone knows this date. Few know April 28th, the 10-mile day. The real achievement, the real test, the real proof of capability. The Golden Spike is ceremony, symbolism, theater. Important but theatrical. The 10-mile day is achievement, capability, record, substance, different, more meaningful in some ways, less celebrated, less remembered. This is irony. This is injustice. This is what we correct. By telling this story, by preserving this record, by honoring these names. The Kansas Pacific record needs clarification. August 15, 1870, 16 months after the Central Pacific. The Kansas Pacific claims to break the record. lays 10 miles and 1,320 feet, approximately 1,000 feet more than the Central Pacific. Technically longer. Technically a record, but fundamentally different. Not comparable, not equivalent, not the same achievement. Here's why. The Kansas Pacific used 2 crews, working from opposite ends, meeting in the middle. This changes everything. Changes the logistics, changes the physics, changes the challenge. When working from one end, single direction, every car must travel the full distance, must return the full distance. The delays accumulate, the time adds up, the challenge intensifies. When working from both ends, each crew works only half the distance, each car travels shorter routes, the efficiency doubles, the time halves, the challenge reduces, substantially, dramatically. The Central Pacific record stands as the legitimate record, the meaningful record, the comparable record. One crew, one direction, one endpoint. This is the standard. This is the benchmark. This is the legend. The Kansas Pacific achievement is impressive, noteworthy, remarkable, but different. Not comparable, not superior. The Central Pacific record remains unbroken, unmatched, unchallenged for 155 years and counting. Forever, probably. Modern track-laying machines exist. Could probably beat the record? Easily, probably. Machines can position rails faster, spike faster, work continuously, without fatigue, without rest, without breaks. But that's machinery, not humans, not labor, not achievement. The human record stands, will always stand, because we've stopped trying, stopped competing, stopped pushing limits. Modern railroads use machines, exclusively, universally. No human crews laying track by hand, no competition driving innovation, no records being attempted. The 10-mile day remains, the final record, the permanent record, the eternal record of what humans can achieve, under pressure, under competition, under impossible conditions. This matters. This is meaningful. This is worth remembering, worth preserving, worth honoring. The machines are more efficient, more reliable, more economical, but less inspiring, less legendary, less human. The 10-mile day inspires, because humans did it, because it seemed impossible, because they succeeded anyway. This is achievement, this is legend, this is what we remember, what we preserve, what we honor. Michael Shea, Patrick Joyce, Thomas Daly, Michael Kennedy, Frederick McNamara, Edward Killeen, Michael Sullivan, George Wyatt. 8 names, preserved in history, honored in memory, remembered forever, plus thousands unnamed. Chinese workers, essential, critical, unremembered, but acknowledged now, honored now, remembered now. By us, by this story, by this preservation. April 28, 1869, 10 miles and 56 feet, 12 hours, the record still stands, will stand forever. This is human achievement. This is organizational capability. This is competitive drive. This is legend, pure legend, permanent legend, eternal legend. The marker still stands near Corinne, Utah, on Golden Spike National Historical Park, a replica of the original sign. 10 miles of track laid in one day. April 28, 1869. Simple words, enormous meaning. The original sign is supposedly in the Utah State Capitol, Salt Lake City. Another replica at the California State Railroad Museum, Sacramento. These markers preserve memory, preserve achievement, preserve legend, but most people pass without understanding, without knowing, without appreciating. They see 10 miles in one day. Don't understand the impossibility. Don't know the competition. Don't recognize the names. Don't appreciate the achievement. This is why we tell stories, why we preserve details, why we explain context. The 10-mile day wasn't just construction, was competition, was pride, was proving superiority, was pushing human limits, was achieving the impossible. The markers preserve dates. We preserve meaning. We preserve stories. We preserve humanity. The 8 Irish track layers, The thousands of Chinese workers, the competition that drove them, the organization that enabled them, the achievement that immortalized them. This is what matters. This is what endures. This is what we remember, always, forever. Now, the 10-mile day matters enormously, matters permanently. The record stands. The legend lives. The names endure. Michael Shea, Patrick Joyce, Thomas Daly, Michael Kennedy, Frederick McNamara, Edward Killeen, Michael Sullivan, George Wyatt, plus thousands unnamed. Chinese workers, unnamed but essential, uncelebrated but critical, unremembered but real. We remember them, we honor them, we acknowledge them, all of them. The 8 Irish, the thousands Chinese. Everyone who built the record, everyone who created the legend, everyone who paid the price. April 28, 1869, 10 miles and 56 feet, in 12 hours. The record still stands, the legend lives, the achievement endures, forever, always now. The legacy extends beyond railroad history, beyond American history. The 10-mile day demonstrates organizational capability, demonstrates what humans can achieve, under pressure, under competition, under impossible conditions. The techniques developed, the logistics perfected, the coordination achieved, influences military operations, influences manufacturing, influences logistics globally. The assembly line concept, multiple workers, specialized tasks, synchronized timing. This is what Henry Ford studies, what Toyota perfects, what modern manufacturing uses. The roots trace back to April 28, 1869, to the Central Pacific, to the 10-mile day. The workers who created it don't receive credit, don't get recognition, don't benefit financially, but their achievement echoes, influences, persists through history, through industry, through civilization. This is legacy, invisible legacy, uncredited legacy, but real, very real, enormously impactful. We should acknowledge this, should recognize this, should honor this. The 8 Irish track layers, the thousands of Chinese workers, created more than a record, created techniques, created systems, created legacy. That changed the world forever. Even though they died forgotten, even though they rest unmarked, even though they received almost nothing. Their achievement matters, their contribution persists, their legacy lives. We remember them, we honor them, we tell their story. So their achievement isn't forgotten, so their sacrifice isn't wasted, so their legacy isn't erased. April 28, 1869, 10 miles and 56 feet, in 12 hours, 8 Irish track layers, thousands of Chinese workers, 1 world record. That still stands, 155 years later, and will stand, forever probably. This is what humans can achieve. This is what organization can accomplish. This is what competition can drive. This is what we must remember, must preserve, must honor, always, forever, now.